Hello and welcome to the Surly Sought Gamer Club. I'm Jason, aka GreywolfZX, and this is day 3 of my original Xbox mod project. Today I'm going to replace the capacitor that maintains date and time in the unit. So I've got it unplugged right now. We're going to start by just seeing how long the current capacitor lasts, and then we're going to put in the new one and see if it's an improvement. I have only seen people tear these capacitors out and just deal with the lack of date and time, having to set it every time they unplug it, and that just seems wrong to me. So we'll leave the hour. It doesn't really matter, but let's give it a proper day. Today is May 6th, 20, whoa, very much wrong direction. 2016. All right, we got the date. Okay, we've got that there. We're just gonna turn it off. And we'll turn this guy back on. The date should still be there because we haven't unplugged it. And we'll know because it won't have asked us. And very exciting boot screen. Okay, there it goes. I wonder if we can, I've never tried to see the date and time anywhere. Clock. Oh, okay, there it is right there. Still says 12 a.m., but I guess it hasn't been a whole minute yet. Alright. Backing out. Turn this guy off. We're going to unplug this for about 10, we'll give it. Okay. Unplugged. Plug it back in. Ooh, impressed I could do that without standing up and looking. Yeah, it seems like a little thing, but these things get difficult sometimes. I don't know why the video is so hazy today, but unfortunately there's nothing I can do about that. Yep. Okay, still have a date and time. Yeah, 12:01. It's still updating. Okay. We're going to turn this off, and we're going to unplug that for 30 seconds. See if we still get it. Ready, and come on. All right, go. Yes, very boring 30 seconds. Set you up there, and you can see a good clearer shot of my battery gantry that I talked about in an earlier video. This would be a good time to fast forward, I would say, but thankfully it's not that long. All right, we can plug this back in. Oh, I always hate that sound when you hear it sounds like arcing when you're plugging back in a power supply. Okay, 30 seconds and it loses its time. So let's go ahead and take this guy apart and put our new capacitor in. And if you can see the white cords, it's because I'm trying a cell phone mic and earbud combination to see if that gives me better microphone. The sound on these videos has been abysmal because, well, while the webcams have good microphones, they're stationary where I tend to lean and move and stand, and that really does create poor audio quality. Man, those things are hard to get apart. There we go. Start with power cord. There we go. And we'll get the IDE off of our hard drive. The DVD should come out simply. Should. I don't know if you noticed on the top-down view, but the whole motherboard jumped there because I haven't screwed the motherboard back in because I knew we'd be taking it in and out and in and out. Oh yes, my favorite part. The cooling fan. Let's see how a key works. Although I should probably find the screwdriver. Ah, I heard it click back in. This type of thing makes you want to complain about a retention method, except for the fact that it obviously works really well. On that note, it's a complete success, and I would rather have it work well than be easy. Alright, now that we've spun it all around backwards. Oh yes, more fun. Remove our power supply cable. There we go. And front panel connector, these yellow wires, and then the USB, I'll call it a daughter board. I don't know the official term. Okay. There we go. Get our motherboard out. Spin around to our bad capacitor here. And wow. Once again, camera looks bad. Everything's really washed out today. Don't know what's different. I haven't really changed lighting. So I'm going to try this view. Holy crud, that's blurry. What's the point? There's our cap, but we're going to go with this guy. It's going to be our best shot of it. And so the capacitor we're going to remove is this one right here. And I already have my soldering iron heated up. Oof. Well, it looks better now. It just didn't like that side. These are the two pins right here that we need to heat up and move the solder free on, or free from. Woohoo! Way to hit the camera. Yeah, there we are. And thankfully there are no surface mount components right beside this. So it looks like you can put some heat on it. Oh, look at that. You can just put heat on the pin and the solder is melting. And I can push the pin down and through. That'll only get you so far though. I'll have to push it in. Yeah. Man, that camera's got to be so close. Alright. And most of what you see there is solder that I've built up on it. You'll notice it all kind of moves away when I push across it there. Alright. So that's more or less gone. Man, it doesn't look like it moved at all from this side. Whoop. Yeah. One thing I normally do, I like to have pliers for this though, so that when you heat these up, because the heat will transfer through the cap and you will feel it. Trust me. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's loosening quite nicely. Just walking the pins back and forth. Now, if you got a solder remover, they make special little suction devices where you can heat it up and pop it through. Okay. And just before I get it completely out, one thing to take note of, granted, even though it's marked on the motherboard, I like to, you see that silver right there, that denotes the negative leg of the capacitor. And if you look at the motherboard below it, you can see that there's some white silk screen, and that indicates that as well. You can see it more easily on some of the other capacitors here. And that is important because these, I want to call it a liquid filled capacitor. Holy crud. Now here's where being careful pays off, and I haven't really been. See those scratches? I have to be really careful there or I'm going to ruin those little traces. And then it'll be more fun with the canner wire while I try and fix that. Yeah. Once again, proper tool for the job. My problem is I'm cheap. But you have to do all these things, you know, in balance. If you're too cheap, and here we go. There's our leaky capacitor. And it's not just the camera. If you look, you'll notice, well, of course there's a shine. Yeah, that didn't help either. The text is kind of faded off, almost, you know, from here it looks like someone took a Sharpie and covered things up, but that's the capacitor, or that's the result of the capacitor's internal fluid coming out. Okay. Now this is packed full of junk that I have purchased for this project. Wow. But this could be a short-lived video, because if this thing won't even fit in there, then we're gonna quit and either look for a different style of capacitor. Because if you see, that guy is quite large comparatively. There's some very blurry footage of the quite large capacitor. And I don't see where I threw the bad one for comparison. Let's see if we can get that in a little bit more. And as you can read there, that's a 1 farad 5.5 volt. The previous capacitor is a 1 farad 1 or 2.5 volts, so 2.5 volt. If you're interested in getting a capacitor like the one I used, this is the exact one I ordered from Amazon, this 5.5 volt 1 farad through-hole ultra capacitor by UXL, and yep, this is where you'll find it on Amazon. Looks like I'll just be able to do it if I bend. Alright. Spin, spin, spin. So there's our target, a blurry shot of our target, and this capacitor right here is kind of in the way. Try and bend it over. To do this, I might have to replace that capacitor as well, because it's just oh, and yeah, push it all out of shot. Can we get it from this angle? If I flip the camera upside down, I'll be able to. These pins are just lining up. Only enough I think I can pull this off. Definite question of what's the proper thing to do, though. Well, I wanted to experiment. Let's experiment. Now what I'm going to try and do, and I am not in any way saying that this is the proper way to do things, is I'm going to try and push give myself little divots to work with here in the solder, because it goes all the way through the board. And then I'm going to try and push the pins. I'm going to hold the pins up and then heat it from the back side, making sure to properly align my positive with the positive, my positive leg with the positive hole. Man, oh man. Alright, I believe I've got it. Let's see if we can do this without damaging, destroying. And that's the problem. You're staring at the side with the very hot piece of metal. Did that bend or go in? Oh, it went in. I got that in there, not nearly as well as I would like. Granted, it just has to be secure. I don't need to be picky about depth, because if the connection is made, that's all that matters. Try to inspect that. The lighting is much better on the. Look at that wicked mess. But the traces look good, and I don't see anything jumpered that's not supposed to be. Because I believe those two connectors are the same thing. So I think this darn guy is in there. Man, I cannot tell. Well, shall we test? What do we got to lose? Just an Xbox. Worst case scenario, everything blows up, I suppose. That would be disappointing. But cruddy solder work aside, I don't know that going to a 5 volt from a 2.5 won't cause it to blow up anyway. Supposedly the voltage rating on a capacitor is a voltage tolerance. So the better the rating, oh, so you always get those out of order. The better the rating, the more voltage it can withstand before going bad. And so if you need a capacitor to withstand 3 volts, in theory a 3 volt capacitor, 3 volt rated capacitor should do that, but evidently general wisdom in the industry is that you derate capacitors by 50%. So 3 volts, you would make sure you have at least a 6 volt rated capacitor, which could explain if 2.5 volts is really the voltage that's supposed to be on those rails. Then that 2.5 volt capacitor that Microsoft used might have just, unfortunately, in the long run, been underrated. Let's see. And once again, I did not learn my own lesson, which was plug into the motherboard first, and then you can plug it into the DVD drive after you put it in. Because plugging that in, plugging this in, I'll be honest, given how fragile electronics are, I'm surprised anything I ever work on functions afterwards. But maybe there's a misconception there. Maybe electronics are much more resilient than you would think. Alright, come on now. Well, you don't have to be perfect, because if this works, day 4 is prepping and doing the soft mod. Okay, got that. Got this guy. Oh, well, yeah, and the soft mod's not, sorry. The soft mod, it's not important to have the unit apart, but you use the soft mod to do a TSOP flash, which is what I want to do. And for the TSOP flash, I need to pull the motherboard out again and do some jumpers, or solder some jumper points, I guess would say, or bridge some connections. Alright, plugged in, no fire, no hissing. Just because everybody loves to see the eject ring of light. And we'll need a controller. Still no fire or hissing. Although with this cell phone headset on, it's hard for me to hear. I've only got it in one ear, but you got to loop it over the other ear so the thing doesn't... Okay. Everything seems happy so far. Let's do our date again. And we'll set ahead an hour just for the heck of it. Okay, settings, clock. Okay, turn it off, back on. And shouldn't ask us for date and time this time. If it does, then my soldering job is utter crud, or that capacitor just does not work. Okay, didn't ask us for anything yet. That's a good sign. Okay. We'll do a quick test. I think it was 10 seconds that the other one was able to take and still maintain date and time. Oh, I didn't unplug it. Of course it'd keep date and time. Dummy. Alright, 1, 2, 3. No, just off and on. We're going to test a short burst. I still got that soldering iron plugged in, so you can smell I can smell the heat from that. You know, other fumes it gives off. So, but it makes you nervous when you're working with something you were just soldering on, because you wonder, oh, did it mess it up? Okay, still keeping that. Let's go back to you know what, we'll add it here. Alright, let's start our counter. Oh yeah, turn you off. Try and at least respect the hardware a little bit. And okay, we give it 30 seconds. Actually, I think in all fairness, well, we'll give it 30 seconds. We'll see if it works. If that works, then we'll do it again. I'll give it 2 runs of the counter. We'll give it a minute. And then if it works at a minute, I'm willing to call this a success, because I don't remember how long those are supposed to maintain. I believe it's supposed to be for at least a day and a couple weeks, or a week. So 30 seconds is completed, but of course you saw that. Okay. Come on, Xbox. Woohoo! Okay. We still have date and time. It's got 3 minutes. Alright. Our counter will reset. Well, it'll start counting from 30 again if I just click it. And we're going to go for a whole minute. So after it completes 30, I'll click it and we'll do another 30 and see if this works. And if it does, then day 3 was a success, and we'll see you all on day 4. Although I guess it's a bit early to congratulate myself. I'm glad to know that, or at least preliminarily know, that you can replace that capacitor. I guess it's very, well, I'm going to go with hypocritical, that I want to have everything in 100% working order like original, just so that I can mod the unit. But hey, we all have idiosyncrasies, and I really do like knowing that it's 100% functional before I go and do anything funky with it. Okay, there's our whole minute. See, still unplugged. We'll plug her back in. See, I told you it was amazing that I got that in without much effort the last time. I almost had to stand up and look. Okay. Yeah, it might just be me, but it honestly seems like it's booting a little faster with the new capacitor in there. But you know, perception, funny thing. All right. There we go. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining me. And I look forward to seeing you on day 4 when we go ahead and try to do the soft mod and the TSOP mod. I have no idea how much that actually entails, so that might not be completed on day 4. It'll just definitely be started then. All right. Thank you. Have a good evening.